Zack Snyder is back. He's been sitting out for a little bit, taking his time, obviously, and as he should have. And now he comes back, and he's going back to his roots.
He's going back to his roots.
Yeah.
And it's for Netflix.
What do we got?
$90 million budget for a zombie apocalypse kind of action movie, but it's like Ocean's 11 meets like Dawn of the Dead.
Cool.
And so some guys, they try to pull off a heist in Vegas during a zombie apocalypse. So they're going to go through, And Zach is saying no one's ever let me completely loose. So he wrote there, he had the idea and he wrote it with somebody, and he's just going to go all in and do whatever he wants with this.
I think this is cool too, because I've been talking for a long time. We need the next level of these movies, the vampire movies, the zombie movies, all of those movies that are the same and about being a zombie. Like, what about that's the world you're living in? Right. What's happening in that world? So I think that it's cool that they're like bringing in a different genre and not just making this a zombie film.
And he needs to do stuff like this too. I think that the other thing for him is when you go back, that Dawn of the Dead was the one that he did, right?
Yeah, that was his first.
I remember when he hit with that, and I was working at Village Roadshow at the time, and then everybody was talking about the movie, about this new hot director that was coming out, and you could tell his style. It was one of those things where he was able to do what he does. I think once you get too locked into the superhero genre, and when you have this big property like DC, which is trying to find its mark, it's overwhelming. He did very well for them. He made a lot of money for the company, but I think now it's time for him to go back and do what he wants to do. I'm excited for it. I think that I'd rather see him do these types of movies, and I know he knows how to do zombies.
I mean, you know it's going to look cool at the very least.
Cool. Right. So I'm down for it. I think this is a good move for him. I think this could be something that's really entertaining.
This is one of the bigger directors that Netflix has landed to as far in this genre, you know what I mean?
Very true.
Netflix is crushing.
I mean, 90 mil, that's nothing to laugh at. Like
90 million.
That's a massive budget for them to put on a movie, for a Netflix movie.
Right.
And you think you got Michael Bay now doing Netflix movies. You got Zack Snyder now, Martin Scorsese.
Adam Sandler?
Adam Sandler has been,
And what the studios
the
are
next
saying,
level kind
and what the old is that Netflix is, it doesn't have the old studio model of like, let's get 30 people's opinion on this one script, and then it turns into an absolute disaster.
Do your thing, basically. Is what
go.
they're saying.
Here's your money. Go nuts.
It seems like that's what they really are focusing on. It's like, oh, you want to, like Snyder saying, I'm going to be let loose. They're like, here you go. But here's $90 million. What does that look like?
You know what's funny though? What they're doing, which is funny because I have the actual opposite opinion that these people should be doing it. Lucasfilm is doing that. And so is Netflix, and I think it works for Netflix. I think the Lucasfilm should have a little bit more of a narrative to pertain to. But I think that I applaud them, and I applaud Kathleen Kennedy for saying, I'm going to trust in this director to do this. But I think there needs to be a little bit more bobbing and weaving through the narrative.
I agree.
Netflix doesn't need to do that.
But think about, I don't know if I think Netflix doesn't need to. I think what Netflix is smart about is knowing when they need to. For example, when we had Sarah come and sit here and talk
Sarah
about.
Campbell,
Yeah, and she was talking about with you, we were all saying, isn't it great that they're so hands off? And she was like, they're paying millions of dollars. I mean, I guess relatively hands off, but they're still giving their input. Right. And for a show that's more unproven, for showrunners that are less proven than a Zack Snyder, I think it's good that they're starting to be like, all right, let's.
Oh wait, I want to make it clear. I think that if you're spending that much money, you should absolutely be hands-on. That's not what I'm saying. What I was talking about as far as Lucasfilm goes is that Kathleen Kennedy is very hands-on. There's no doubt about that. I'm just talking about how you, like when you have a previous movie and there's other stories, that you want to be able to do much collaboration to have a plan from A to Z. You know exactly what's going to happen. But it seems like J.J. Abrams is going to pull that back and do that now. But Netflix doesn't they don't have any connective tissue, right? But I do agree with you. You got to be hands-on if you're spending that much money.
I'd love to see some sort of, in the future, like a Netflix franchise universe.
Right.
Something like
That'd
an
be so
IP.
cool.
Right?
They're doing that. Mark Millar, who has a number of comic books, they're calling it the Millar universe, and they made a deal with him. So I think that's their next big thing.
But are they original stories, or you're saying they're
adapting his comics and then creating that kind of universe.